face is mask. We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful what we pretend to be. Touché, Mr. Vonnegut, touché. Mask, a covering for all or part of the face worn as a disguise or to amuse or terrify other people. Mask, a covering made of fiber or gauze and fitting over the nose and mouth to protect against dust, air pollutants, or viruses. Mask, a hollow model of a human head worn by ancient Greek and Roman actors, both mask and megaphone, and the origin of the word persona or person, that through which God speaks. Mask, conversely, a device to hide an individual's character or feelings. Mask. Tracing the word back through time, you find root connections to buffoon, witch, to blacken, darken, or my favorite, dark cloud before the rain comes. Initially, that confused me, but then I realized that the cloud is masking the rain that's on its way. The rain is coming, my friends. The storm is here. We must all face the rain alone. Umbrellas won't protect us, and neither will beliefs. We are the rain, in another form. It seems we have forgotten. The entire ocean in a drop, as Rumi sang. And when our rain releases, what will grow, I wonder? A line from Jesus comes to mind. If a seed goes into the ground and dies, then it will grow. A close family member of mine has severe respiratory health issues. I wear a mask to keep them safe. I don't know the truth about COVID. I am not qualified to say anything about it. All I know is that it is a true trickster's gift, a perfect seesaw opportunity to find balance and to hold the opposing tensions without needing to choose. When I find my rabid wolf clawing desperately at a mask, I do my best to remember you are another me. I feel a great rage well up when someone judges me for wearing a mask, especially when they smugly claim to be spiritual and evolved. Beneath my rage is grief. In Chinese medicine, they say grief is held in the lungs. The world is heavy with grief. No wonder it has been so hard to breathe. One of my teachers, Michael Mead, says symptoms point toward their opposite. In other words, if the world is full of conflict and polarity, these symptoms are pointing at unity. The more we ignore the symptoms, the louder they become. It's pretty loud right now. It makes me want to hide. I see all the perspectives. I disagree and agree. I feel torn, pulled. Every day I change my mind. I'm tired of debating. Language falls short. I don't care what you think or feel. I don't care what I think or feel either. I cherish melody, humor, grief, metaphor, creation. All the masks have their place. I want to wear them all. I just don't want to forget that I'm wearing them anymore. I don't want to identify with the masks any longer. And as my father said, maybe the most ridiculous mask to wear is no mask. It seems likely that what humans call God even wears a mask, perhaps hoping to be discovered. And before we move on to the other amazing elements of the show, our special guest, the original song, I want to read a little poem that I wrote, or something came through me and wrote itself for this episode, Faces Mask. Thespian, undress. Not a question, a command. The costume of the flesh is itching what I truly am. We've met, but you don't know me. To the peasant, I'm a queen. To the king, I am a lowly beggar, never in between. Unless your heart is shattered into infinity form, I will not exist to you, and you will not be born. I am Abraxas. Word up. All right, y'all. Moving on. It's harder to not sing. It's harder to not sing now. Draw the poison out of me. You draw the poison out of me. You draw the poison out of me. You draw the poison out of me. Earthquake fault lines when I walk through landmines, and I learn myself so many times. I dream in ashes now, burns like sunshine, and the cobwebs hold these lies. Earn my turn. Trippy catatonic, but the crutches caught it. 3 dice vanilla Dutches, I was on it. The mystery, never solve it. It's not a problem, still evolving. Draw the poison out of me. You draw the poison out of me. You draw the poison out of me. You draw the poison out of me.
Joshua Nathan Winkler, 45 years old, from Atlanta, Georgia. Found turntables when I was 15 years old. That was everything to me. And that was it. My journey began then. The turntable saved my life. Turntables are still everything to me. Ego was my mask. We don't talk about those type of things. We talk turntables, we talk about what we did last night, and so I found myself self-sabotaging situations. Ego is what my mask was, and I found myself dealing with stripping that away and being as honest with myself than I've ever been in my entire life.
For this episode, we have a very special creation from my man, Kaotic Steel. Drop that.
Faces mask. Take it back to the times of the naked ass. Hidden is the identity of the man of the century. Do I see negativity? Honestly, it depends for me. Depends on the time of the season. Is Venus in retrograde? Do we look to God to look upon the mess he made? But we ain't much more so of some live reporters. Daily blogs with tales of magicians and heavy hoarders of memories, cordless amenities. For the horde tell the enemy any alliance formed against me shall collapse. Like the sands of time, I'm back with a sharper mind and a duller knife. Love is the motive, it's time I showed you mine. Life. Faces mask. I cover mine to block the blinding light that is my very being. The Son of God before the Son of Man, I'm beginning to see it clearly. Clear intentions call for clear inventions. Creation is our purpose, make sure you create with purpose. Fun won't hurt us, but delaying the inevitable is sure to surface. The roots of evil, cut off the weeds though, beware the weevils. I'm a mega bedro in a world of seagulls. You loiter at the beach gliding for scraps. I loiter in my room, worried about rap. Which words do I use? Will my next mask be scarier? Told Zach Face's mask is on track. The more work, the merrier. Destroying beats with the lariat. White stallions for my chariot. Carry your weight through this war, I ain't saving it. Save your excuses for the many Medusas who will stare at you for so long they themselves turn to stone. Reverse psychology on you non-thinkers, I'm great to the bone. Solid is my core, 10 toes down when I walk in through the door. You jerks off map, worried about my last tug. Ain't hearing much music with this radio in the bathtub. Thoughts of offing myself has drastically gone down. 9 months almost up, call me father time now. Enough judgment, I forgive you for nothing, because nothing was ever done to me, rushing towards my inner peace. Me versus me as my enemy has taught me how to balance out the chaos with serenity. Speaking of identity, faces mask. I take my mask off just to face the past and say, hate don't last. I'm here, now, forever, wicked.
Welcome to the Hearse podcast. Today we have a very special human being sitting in the chair across from me, Josh, aka Klever. From what I know of you, would say you are an artist, DJ, but also an all-around creative soul. Is there any other masks or things you would like to announce as some of your descriptions?
Father,
Father.
journey seeker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, welcome to the show, and thank you
thank
for being here, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Really. So to begin, as we arrive into the space, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you find yourself today on your journey?
Joshua Nathan Winkler, 45 years old, from Atlanta, Georgia. Found turntables when I was 15 years old, and as soon as I found turntables, that was everything to me. Before that, skated hardcore. I thought maybe I'd be at least amateur, but that didn't happen. Found turntables, percussion. My father's a blues musician, so that was always in the house. And my first drum kit was, I think I was 3 years old, and always driven to percussion. And I found turntables, and I found the percussive element of that, being able to control sound. And that was it. And my journey began then. Didn't really know what I was doing other than just sort of emulating DJs from video, YoMTV Raps, Rap City, or, back in those days when they made videos with DJs. And just did a lot of studying and always wanted to learn that art and how to get better in controlling sound. And I just skip school, go back to the house, practice, and got better, set some goals. And actually, I'd say turntable saved my life, really. Came up in an environment of people that started to party a lot, sell drugs, do drugs, because they didn't have that art form, that release. Skating was the thing, and then when you get to a certain age, you start drinking beer, you start partying, and I got lucky. I was focused on this art form that nobody else was doing. Like, I didn't grow up around it, and they saved my life. And eventually started meeting some other people that were scratching, and became friends, practiced together, and I had some goals of being a world champion, and achieved those goals later on in life. And it's made me a great life, and I've abused it, and it's kind of worked. I can't blame it. It hasn't worked against me. I worked against it and started doing things that I never thought I'd be doing. I guess turntables have, I don't know, they're still everything to me.
Been the flying saucers that delivered you here.
Pretty much literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they've taken me around the world, introduced me to people, cultures, and I love it. Yeah.
Man, such a cool response, because I don't think on all, so far in all the interviews that I've heard anyone speak of their craft or their tool the way you just did, right? I haven't heard that. And it's really beautiful. And it just reminds me of kind of, I guess, a more indigenous perspective that everything is alive, and so the spirit of the turntables, like one of your best friends and your guardians. And
They most definitely were.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird to say. I mean, I was so hardcore disciplined. I didn't party. Relationships were kind of. I really didn't. I mean, my sex life wasn't all that vibrant due
Totally.
to my discipline, and I didn't want things getting in the way. Not. I mean, it sounds kind of militant, but I was very militant. I had a goal. I wanted to be the best, and I didn't want to plateau. I've seen
love
people
that.
plateau with their instrument or with certain things in their life, and that was my motto. I'll never plateau. I'll never even out. I'm always on this trajectory. But I plateaued after, a couple decades of it and the ups and downs of life, really. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess technically I plateaued with techniques and learning stuff, but there was other learning things going on.
Yeah. And I think we were talking in the car too, that like to go backwards is essential in order to go forwards. Or the quote that I chose from the Jesus idea of like, if a seed has to go in the ground and die, and then it can grow. So sometimes I think in our culture we're go, go, go. If you're not moving, if you're not posting, then it's a plateau. But I've found that going under the earth, taking that time, anyway, not to get all metaphorical on it, but it seems like you're by no means plateauing at all and continuing to bloom, which can sometimes appear to be different than what, society.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, that's like life. I mean,
But you're saying techniques, you were saying.
Yeah, well, no, so there's like the technical aspect and all of that, but then I did so much of that and so caught up in trying to be or becoming, humbly saying, the best.
Yeah.
I didn't live life.
Yeah.
I was like caught up in this achieve. And but then, yeah, I guess fairly recently is where I had to change some things, replant, like for real, get in the soil.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other expression of production and digging deep within producing music, arrangement, songwriting, and etc., where I'm not necessarily using turntables anymore, but I'm using the discipline, the elements, and blah, blah, blah of sound sculpting, you know. So it was all for a reason, I guess.
I love it, 100%. Thank you. I'm 35 years old. I'm a married man with a son. Today is Halloween. Looking back, I realize I have worn many different masks, personalities, identities, groups that I ran with, whatever. I don't remember when I first put one on or felt the need that I had to identify. I do vaguely remember, like there's a photo of me with my arms to the rain on the beach when I was, 4? So however old. And I vaguely remember this time when I was the mysterious being of just being a being, you know what I mean? And didn't have to say, I'm this. Obviously, you're Zach or you're the name people call you, but I still felt like vague in a free way. And I don't remember when I first put on I like this and I don't like that, or this is my, preference politically. Not that I have one, but you know what I mean. The masks. So yeah, I don't remember when I put it on, and I don't remember when I started to peel them off, which is a lot about what the work I do with this, my friends here, is removing masks. Does that mean anything to you? Can you relate to that? And then I guess we'll just mush these two questions together. But what are some of the different masks or roles? And what are the ones you've removed? Anything out of there? That's a big kind of world of questions. But
Well, as soon as you ask that, ego was my mask, I guess. And I didn't know this until I guess there's different layers of like ego. Always a humble person, always humble, but I didn't realize there's like different types of ego. And I guess I'll just kind of get my darkest, my heaviest mask, my thickest mask was probably the last, where are we at? Almost 2023. I'd say when I started working with a particular artist, started supporting a particular artist, and was introduced to this world of working together. And it was a different type of element that it was kind of foreign to me. It came natural, but it was like a two-man team. Prior to that, it was a one-man team. But then, okay, I go back. So it was a one-man team for years and years and years. I was my own soldier and everything. But then I accomplished some goals, and I became part of one of 2 or 3 most influential DJ crews in the world. We're called the Allies. The Allies was based in Miami, New York City, Montreal, and Atlanta, Georgia, which was me. And they were all world champions, national world champions, you know. And so I was blessed, honored, gifted with the acknowledgement, and they saw things in me, and they brought me into the crew. So I guess I started to develop a mask then, and which was I've gotta compete, or I gotta raise my bar even more. I thought I was already doing that, and so I started getting more thicker skin with socially and competitively, and I don't know, just a mask started to happen. Didn't know it really, and so that started in 2000, and then I started touring the world. We were conversing earlier in the car. My music taste started developing. I didn't want to just showcase, be the magician that had to be so on point. If you mess up one little time, and especially back then, it was all about just the needle. Like the needle skipped a groove, your whole routine is, then you have to start, kind of start over, or you recover, but it's not flawless like you did earlier, which was amazing, by the way. So there was a lot of pressure.
Sure.
So I wanted to just party. And what I mean by party, meaning like playing more up-tempo music, getting into a club atmosphere where people are celebrating dance, and having a good time, releasing instead of just nerding out, and people clapping and going crazy for this one little part of your routine that they saw in the videos, and they are that they nerd out on, right? So it was just so technical. I was over it. I have a point here. The point is graduating to more of the party aspect. Now I'm playing festivals, raves, clubs, being flown all around the globe, and being a part of these venues that are historically respected, and dang, I'm here, So, and there's a lot of stuff that comes with it. And mask was getting thicker and thicker and heavier, and drinking, not drugs. Drugs wasn't never my thing. Smoked a lot of pot, but drinking. I guess my I'm not blaming my dad, but he was an alcoholic, and I was always scared to drink due to I saw what it did to him. And so eventually I started drinking, get that liquid courage for social, and then, like I shared earlier, the discipline with my craft. I wasn't a little weird, but when it came to women, kind of insecure, right? So that helped with things, and I found myself like going crazy with that stuff, and with everything, the
Notoriety.
the moment
Alcohol,
getting
the moment.
caught up,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and so anyway, I kind of like self destroyed that, or what do they
Sabotage.
yeah, which is another that goes. I mean, that's a whole childhood thing of some things that happened to me as a child
Sure.
that I suppressed, that later came up in my life, and I didn't realize it until later on in life because I compartmentalized things. I was like the king of it, you know, putting things in these boxes, moving on, discipline, focus, achieve, repeat.
Yeah.
And then once I started drinking, and then I started socializing more, and the attention from chicks and all of that, this other side of me started coming out. And I wouldn't even call that a mask. That was like some weird reality of dealing with the abuse and no count, like not being able to converse with people or like share my story because so it was sexual abuse. And like, who do you talk to type thing. I couldn't talk to my homies. I was, scared, embarrassed, felt like I was to blame. I mean, so deep, you don't talk about those type of things with people or your friends or whatever. We talk turntables, we talk about what we did last night and who we banged or whatever. And so I found myself self-sabotaging situations out of this truth that things started to happen to me because of my past, alcohol, and not knowing how to deal with certain things. So those opportunities started to fade away because I would act out when I would get blackout wasted, and I didn't understand what was going on because I'm perfectly fine in a regular day thing, but when I get blackout drunk, I would do things and say things or just get questionable, and it scared people. I put myself in I guess like suicidal situations, but I would never do that on a regular day. I'm not going to stand in front of a train or chill out on top of a high rise like with my just like put myself in these. Just takes one little thing and it's a wrap. And I started scaring people, so my opportunities started slipping away. Like, Clev's a liability, man. My booking agent was kind of asking me some things, and I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't remember, So luckily, I saved up a bunch of money, which I'm really good at, and I was able to sustain for a while. And I ended up doing some things in Atlanta, hurting myself. And woke up. My daughter was out here in Los Angeles. I woke up the next day from the hospital and said, I need to get out. I need to stop what I'm doing. Alcohol is killing me. And stopped, got out here. And I guess fast forward a little bit, I started working with this individual, this element that I wasn't used to doing. Usually it's DJ stuff. And then I started working with this vocalist. And we went way back before this vocalist became who he ended up being. But there was always like a very, very high frequency confidence. I will use the term loosely. He knew what he was, from day one. Oh, man. I mean, the stories, that's a whole other podcast, of like that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to like take it.
No, we can do, I think this is today where we want our intention together was you and you. But
yeah,
but that
but
can
getting
be
to the
yeah, no,
mask.
exactly. No,
Sorry,
this,
like an
I
elongated
love it,
answer
brother.
for
No,
the question. So,
thank you.
the ego. I found myself fast forwarding to 2013 up into 19, developing an ego and that wasn't cool,
Hmm.
and it ruined my family, ruined me, due to selfishness.
Hmm.
uh, and alcohol. I started drinking again, and on my high horse, never think I was ever better than anybody. So I had this crazy contrast of being super humble, but also internally this ego, this thing. And yeah, I get ego is what my mask
Sure.
was, and I found myself the last couple 2.5 years dealing with stripping that away and being as honest with myself than I've ever been in my entire life.
Hmm.
And
Beautiful.
that's a whole other awakening. Yeah.
I mean, I feels like with the gravity of this show and you know the art that we do, the music, and how we came together through Ordinary Magic, the song, which I can't wait to hear what you do for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Super stoked on that.
That we're family. I think the whole world is one family, but that there's like a returning. So I'm just honored to know you, and I hope that we have many different expressions and talks, and so yeah, I think that more than answered it in a really beautiful, powerful way for that. And I'm right there with you. Just racing ahead, focusing on mastery of craft. I'm going to deal with that stuff in the future. Finally caught up to me, still ran away from it, caught up again, still ran away, caught up again, and each time more and more so learning to, he says in his own words, I'll say it differently, that the crucifixion of Christ is the ultimate symbol of vulnerability, which is the true superpower. So it's really hard to be maskless, even if that's a thing, because I think there's always another mask below the mask, maybe. But
Maybe a healthier mask
or
or
closer
something
to
that
your
is, yeah,
So-
a thinner mask. I kind of see things in weight
like
and
that.
color and whatnot. And so, yeah, maybe something that's way more transparent,
I like that.
rather than hiding behind.
Well, speaking of masks, and then we'll move forward, is I mentioned that my face flushes a lot, especially when I've been working hard. It's like a sign of my nervous system being out of balance. Less so of what I ingest, weirdly. It's not the coffee or having a beer or a cigarette. It's actually stress that makes me flush. And you said, Dad, to me one day, I was so embarrassed because I turned bright red, and then you're with people and it's getting worse because you're aware of them, so you get redder. And you said something like, it's actually a really endearing sign for someone who blushes. It shows that they're like a sweet, genuine person. And that reminds me of the thin mask of, like, if you wear your mask thin or your heart on the sleeve, it can feel really uncomfortable, but it's also really beautiful and important.
From what I've learned and conversing with your dad in a very short amount of time, your dad certainly has the most positive way of looking at things. So, with that said, what a great analogy or truth, really, to
It is.
have that insecurity that you may have or dealt with or whatever, to
Dealing
see it
with,
like
yeah.
that. That's power. I mean, it's huge. Turning something negative, maybe or whatever, into a superpower.
Alchemy.
Yeah,
That's alchemy.
that's
I
great.
love. So, let's see. This is kind of vague. I think one of my masks is wanting to always be different, which is ridiculous because in and of itself, that's like a resistance of just being a human, I think. But people say things like, where do you imagine yourself to be in 5 years? What is your and I get, I hate that stuff, man. I think it's disrespectful to God somehow to try to tell God where you're going to be in 5 years. But
Well, there is a thing of a 5-year plan,
no,
right?
I get
People
it.
kind
I
of
get
like
it. I'm an
there's-
asshole. That's what I'm saying. I'm an asshole. I'm a pretentious poet asshole who's just like, no, but there is. And that's my point. That's one of my masks.
or not even to question you, but it kind of is a thing. And you're right. Like, who's to say what's going to happen when you walk out across the
old
street?
joke. That's the old joke. Is, do you want to know how to make God laugh? Tell him, her, your plans. That's the joke. So, leaving room. I have intentions. I have, I want to create. I want to be a good dad. I want to, whatever it may be. But I try not to get too specific. Like I need a house with the thing and the boom, because then it's like, Point being, this question almost borders on a cheesy question to me, but I'm going to ask it, and if it speaks to you. So all it is why do you create? What do you hope to achieve with your music and art, and what are you relaying? And
creating is it's a necessity. It's not even I have to, because I have nothing else. Like I realized in this whole pandemic thing, it saved my life. I mean, I was always creative anyway.
Me too.
But when I was observing other people via having short little conversations with them in real life or on the device, I saw people freaking out, I mean, we're talking, certain maybe like people who are accomplished with numbers, math, successful Wall Street type people or whatever, but they don't know what to do. They have too much time on their hands, or their daily routine has been broken up. So being a creative, 12 hours out of my day, always or more anyway. It's a necessity, man. It's therapy. It allows me to be creative. Like it's food. Even if like, I mean, let's say you knock one out of the park, like you get a track signed, or you win the lottery. I like to say, like something becomes huge, one track.
Yeah, like a placement.
Yeah. I mean, these days, what, TikTok or maybe I shouldn't say that, but a platform, right? Yeah. And but how many tracks did you write in order just to achieve that? I mean, totally. Hundreds, thousands, right? If you're like really digging and going. Yeah. And everybody just sees that one thing, right? Yeah. So, what's my point? Point is
why you create and
just how it's food, man. It's food. If I don't, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything. Even though I don't need to accomplish anything, I don't need to be acknowledged for the thing.
Yeah,
it does for me.
Yeah.
And
it's funny you say food, and I don't want to cut you off, but earlier I told you I had an interaction with someone who said poetry is a luxury. Sometimes you really need to get back to reality, Zach, with this kind of tone, which I'm very familiar with. People trying to, they'll come to the show on Saturday. Oh my God, you're amazing. Then Monday comes, they're like, you really need to get your fucking life together, bro. Right? That's the vibe. And in this thing, this interaction, this person said, poetry is a luxury. It's for the 1%. It's not more important than water. And I said this thing. I disagree, sort of. I mean, I don't even know why we have to compare the two. But I mentioned something that Kanye said, and I know Kanye is all over the place, but I think a broken clock is right twice a day applies to that. No disrespect to Kanye. Maybe he's brilliant, but some truth shines through. And he said something that he's quoting anyway, so it doesn't matter where it came from. But it was like knowledge, reading knowledge, all that is more powerful than food and water because it can teach you how to get food and water. I said that to this person, which was the wrong thing. That wasn't even my point, and he got upset and said I got to put on his headphones. Like it was a whole thing. But you just said that about food. And so, not to go on a tangent, but this morning I wrote this little poem because I agree with you. And it's so hard to speak to that to people who aren't understanding that really. And this poem is, I don't know what it is. If it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. It's called Wise Ass with 2 money signs. Today, a man told me that poetry is a luxury and that I should come back to reality, whatever that is. My wise ass response, you can eat a piece of paper, and it may even keep your hunger at bay, but good luck trying to read your hamburger. My heart's response, life without poetry, music, melody, art, illogical, gibberish, and magic is just survival, and I would rather starve than simply survive. In fact, I would be starving. You just can't see that body with your physical eyes. So it's just nice that you said that, because I needed that. I didn't need it because I like talking to myself these days, and I have a good relationship with not needing approval, but it's a nice attaboy or reflection of like, it is fucking food, man. For some of us at least, and I would argue for all of us, however you're consuming it, that there is a malnutrition. There would be a malnutrition of the invisible body if you were not receiving art, whatever the fuck that is, in whatever form you do, because it's everywhere. This whole world is, sorry to go on, but
Oh man, you're on it.
yeah. All right, I guess I'll move forward. You emanate kindness, creativity, intelligence, and respect. Your heart feels gigantic, and you seem to wear it on your sleeve. I have often found that people with these qualities have a hard time existing in this society and world. How do you balance all of these energies and protect your optimism and love?
That's a question, yeah. That's very kind of you. That's like, dude, thank you very much.
Since I became aware of you, I've felt that from you. You emanate this other.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
really.
I mean, if it's projected out there, and pretty honest person, I'm, thank you.
Man.
That's kind of you. So the question, how do I deal with?
The question is, how do you protect that light? Because I've found, as a sensitive person who has some of those, I think I have some of those traits. How do you keep that alive when I feel like the world is often poking at us and pushing us, like the conversation I had
You just keep going. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm first and foremost, like, I mean, that's so kind of you. It's almost like there's a lot of pressure within that. But I'm like nobody, right? And when I say nobody, like, I'm just a human being, right? Like, I'm no better than anybody else, no worse than anybody else. Like, I'm no better than anybody. So I don't know. Like, I just, you just keep trucking, I don't know. Like, just keep being kind. I mean, I'm in traffic. I might not be so kind, I mean, you see another side of me, right? But, yeah, man, like, I think I remember things, being humble.
Yeah.
Which is, and I'm grateful for that aspect, man, because I've worked with human beings that aren't so humble, and it's like in the DNA or something. So I think like how I was raised, had a amazing mom. I mean, she's still around, and she's amazing, and implanted some things in me and educated me with some humbleness. And my dad, he's amazing as well. And so I think I like to say I was raised right, although there was some other stuff that wasn't with them, but my parents are amazing. And I think I was raised humbly saying right, and gave me some quality, instilled some quality in me. And so just be kind, be cool. Yeah. I mean, not be taken advantage of, like I'm no dumbass. Yeah. But I treat people the way that I'd like to be treated. And that sounds lame, but it is the absolute truth. Like, what are the empath? Is that it? Yeah. I'm very,
empathetic. Empathic.
Yeah, very much. Energy's a thing, and not to get all into that, but I feel people's radiating energy and whatnot. There is great energy, and then there's like some not so great energy.
How's Brad's energy doing right now?
Brad back here, he's awesome. Yeah, he's chilling. He's just
I always tease
a
Brad.
Blue globe of he's in his own. So yeah, man, just
I love that, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but like I said, my mom's a therapist in her own way. My wife is a therapist, a depth psychologist, and recently I learned the phrase highly sensitive. It's a personality type. Apparently 20% of the world are. My wife, my son, and I definitely am. I didn't know what that meant, but looking back, it makes sense why I drank, smoked, did the things I did. And now that I've begun to heal my nervous system, get in touch with things like noticing how my face turns red if I'm stressed, like these are signs my body's communicating. I realize, like tomorrow, whether I have a beer later or whatever, I'm going to be hungover energetically from today. I know that. It happens when I create this way. So I would imagine you're a highly sensitive being, and I think it's a superpower that needs to be respected and needs to be honored, and does not necessarily, function well if you were trying to compare yourself or be like what a lot of, not to keep talking about society, but the culture we're in that's giving us these instructions of how to be a good, productive being. I don't think that really works for highly sensitive people.
I am a Cancer, so I learned, I guess, like, we're sensitive people, right? July 4th, 1977.
All right.
And I don't know if is that a thing? I mean, is that,
Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius on
do
the cusp
you
of
live
Scorpio.
up to that?
Definitely.
Okay. So I don't know if that's
Goes
part
deeper,
of it too.
The year, I think, matters. The natal charts. I think there's some. If you're with the right person, there's definitely some real stuff, and maybe not at a certain level. I think it's both. I don't know.
And I've learned. I'll share this with you guys, man.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe Dad has some insight on this.
Yeah.
77. I learned that's and
you have.
Well, well, gave me another reason to put something on my
love
face,
it.
I guess.
Yeah.
But no, it really does have, like, 77 is an angelic number.
Yeah.
It's like an angel number. But literally, and I've already seen it like twice today.
Wow.
Every day for like the last several years, I see the number 77. If it's one time, which is to like 10 times.
Wow.
So 77 is I'm always seeing it, man. Like every day. Like, does that happen to you guys for any number at all?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, yeah? Okay. And I kind of question myself, like, what does that mean, man? Like, what I want something positive to come out of it,
I think it can be a good little wink. I think those things are winks. And I went crazy looking at signs, and I think about the woman in the parking lot who was reading. There was a woman who appeared to be, imbalanced, like too far gone, and she was like writing down every license plate and muttering to herself. So I've almost been that woman, not quite, but I think it's a very slippery slope where you take a sign, don't overthink it too much, use it as like a little, yeah, that's cool, or you start to find a language, but holding it all lightly. As you say, signs are simply signposts. Words are simply signposts pointing at the mystery. If that makes sense in this context, I think we get fixated on the sign and we forget it's still the mystery. Like, we're not supposed to know. Just like, maybe you're on the right path. Keep it going.
That's
it flowing.
what's up. And that's what's up. That's how God, man, I have had that's
That's part two.
Well, yeah. Anyway, 77 are numbers, and I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up.
No,
just
I appreciate you.
We're conversing. And
No, I love
this
it, brother.
This is the platform to share stuff.
100%. 100%. I appreciate you. I'm an 86 child. All right. What has depression taught you? You can say pass, obviously.
No. I'd like to get into that. If you asked the question,
I would love.
And this
I
is a
would love.
podcast.
Yeah, let's
and
ride, baby.
So I guess another one of those. So lately, I've been dealing with so my personal changes has. Work, right?
Yeah.
I'm not working as much as I would like to, or like I used to work.
Yeah.
So I have I wouldn't say more time on my hands, but I'm like by myself a lot more right now, and creating. But then I can only create so much. And when you create, for me, I've always got this, I dream or I manifest or I have a goal. I have these things where I know what I want. They're just not tangible yet. They're just not here because I'm reinventing. It's that whole rebirth thing, giving up, shedding the skin like a snake or whatever. Again, it's probably the lame analogy, but I've shedded and still shedding. But not in a relationship. I don't have a partner. I had a partner. And so I'm used to praise, right? Everything working out, attention, having, and this sounds sick, but I would have like several chicks on deck.
Yeah.
God, that sounds lame.
No,
that sounds terrible.
No.
But I could admit that. So, having sex and experiencing short-term stimulation was always there. But I cut all that out. I just cut it out because I knew it was the bad fat. bad food. It was just bad. Ego. It ties into a lot more than just the sensation of the act, right? For me. So I had to cut all that out and change some habits and create some new, better habits. And with all of this honesty for myself has come heavy load of solitude, being by myself, a lot of overthinking. I overthink a lot, and I've been hit with the heaviest amount of depression I've ever dealt in my entire life. Even when I went through my abuse as a child, it didn't really affect me. At least I thought. I compartmentalized. I was king of that, so I'd always just kind of put it away. And I still don't blame the people that did things to me as a child, because I forgave and forgave, whatever, because that's a whole other hardcore thing to deal with. So I forgave, and that's helped tremendously. But now I found myself this year's been really hard for me. But I've literally, I've heard stories, I've seen movies of people not getting out of bed. I've heard people say, I've been in bed for a day or two or whatever. I've stayed in bed for a month. A couple months ago. It started out with like a day. I gave up on life, straight up. Overthinking, no opportunities, hard to go out and socialize. Going back to Atlanta, like making friends. It's like, whoa, I got to do all this over again. I found myself, right? Or I've tapped into that, who I am. I don't want to go out and drink. I don't want to go out and find chicks for all the wrong reasons. I don't want to do drugs. I don't need that shit in my life. I want the best form of me. So I'm scared to go out. Fear is another thing. Fear is a mask for me. And I never had fear. I was fearless, but it put me in so many crazy situations that I abused. So depression, staying in bed for a week, a month, like scary shit, contemplating my life. And I'm like, what am I doing? What has happened to myself? So, idle hands, what do they say? Idle hands.
Devil's something.
And I found myself, even though I'm working, but my goals aren't coming to me. I'm not getting the emails or the phone calls of the opportunities and blah, 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 or whatever. So depression starts rolling in, man. And so what have I learned from it? It's fucking scary shit, is what it is. It's there. I acknowledge it. If I learn from depression, I don't want to have it. I don't want depression.
Well, it sounds like it's taught you some valuable things, such as you don't want to go do certain things, right? You don't want to go out and drink. You don't want to do all these things. So during that time, it seems like depression was showing you what you don't want to do, because you could have overridden it maybe and gone out.
I could have been the old me.
Yeah, that's
which
what I mean.
don't want anymore.
So it sounds like depression, like I was saying in the car, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but from our exchanges, it sounds like those monsters, depression being one of them, that hound us, really are slowing us down to say, hey, you've forgotten who you really are and what the world wants to give you. And so you will have to feel this, because I, like you, compartmentalized all my shit, and then eventually it caught up to me. Now I try to experience my deaths and rebirths in the same day. Like if I have a really disappointing thing, I try to just feel it right then. I don't want to push it down anymore, because if that shit piles up, then I get knocked out for a year next time, or I have to break my ankle, or I have to lose my best friend, or whatever it may be. You're good. Thank you. So it sounds like that's what it's been teaching you. But I don't want to say things on your behalf, but just reflecting what I've heard.
I'm still learning, because I got to go home tomorrow.
Yeah.
I go back to Atlanta tomorrow, and I'm back in the cesspool of reality, away from my kid, and back to, all right, man, figure it out. So, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
It hasn't officially taught me anything. I'm
I
still
think
like,
all of us in this room. You see that smile? That's the gold right there. You got new friends over here, man, out here, and they're.
thank you.
His eyes say it all. I wish we could record the audio his eyes are making.
You get close enough to there, you probably hear the flesh open and close.
See the light popping out. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it.
I mean, thank you. I've never, I need to take this opportunity to be like, put it out there.
I appreciate you.
I've never shared some of the things, certainly not on this scale.
Yeah.
But I feel it has to happen. I have to. It's my own therapy. I have to do it.
And in turn, the healing we do, I think, does ripple for others too.
Hopefully.
So we have a few more. If you're
Keep
up
them
for
coming.
it, okay,
Yeah, of
cool.
course.
Brad, can you just text Josh and say we'll be done soon? Because I think just let him know. Too many Joshes.
Never enough,
Or not
man.
enough. Yeah. I was almost named Josh, right? Anyway, another podcast. All right. So yeah, as we slowly near the end of this first walk together, I think people say, what advice would you give to an up and coming artist? But I wanted to go deeper and say, what advice do you give to your daughter? Because I feel like that'll be more potent of,
That's a great. I mean, I'm dealing with that right now. She's 16, and Dad's been gone for about 2 years. I mean, discipline. Get on it. Put the phone away. Basically, that's her problem. Get in advice. Get into something. Focus. And focus. Get with it. Discipline and I mean, she's an amazing human being. So she's already rad. And I don't say that like biasly. She is a very, very kind, just awesome human being, and so lucky to. So proud of her. But 16, I'm seeing the teenager stuff.
Hard.
Girl, like okay, I never thought I was built, first of all, for a child. Because Dad dipping out when I was young, the abuse, I was scared to have a child. Because statistically, parent issues, the abuse that I went through, you do weird shit to kids, right? Or you end up in jail for something. I mean, like, you're not. Society says, like, when you go through these gnarly traumatic experiences, you are prone to give back to that evilness, right? And if I can say anything, I'm very proud of myself for not giving into that statistic. And so point is, she's amazing, was scared to have a child, had one, was blessed to have one, and she's awesome. So advice, focus, and keep being you, keep being amazing, keep being a rad human being, and keep living life, but just focus. Put that damn phone away, Get rid of that. Just put it away. Focus on your schoolwork, and keep loving people like you do. I mean, really, I don't know.
That's
like,
amazing.
Advice to my child, like, she's amazing. She's super rad, very kind, very just, she's beautiful. Yeah. So I don't
that's
know.
great
But I don't want to
advice.
sound like that, like I don't know. That's what I have.
I love it.
She's
No, it's
already kind of
perfect.
covered a lot of areas.
It's kind of like if you could go back in time, what would you say to the young you? To me, that's the same opportunity we have as fathers. Is like we get to. So when Rock has huge upsets, which he does, it brings up a lot in me. And my dad pointed out that maybe it's because I wasn't allowed to cry the same way he is, the way we're raising. Like some parents, I don't know my scenario, it wasn't like whatever, but great childhood, but also trauma as a divorced kid and traveling all over the place. So I think his crying brings up some feeling where I feel like I can't handle it sometimes, like an animal ancestor, and I can feel a part that has scared me. I've never done anything, but I can feel a part that's like, he needs to shut the fuck up, like right now.
Wow.
Like he can't. He'll go for 2 hours screaming snot, red face.
Sure.
Point being is it's an opportunity, I think, to love that side of me again and meet that side again as well and try to walk through it the way I would want to. So I think you already said, because I would give similar advice to him and my young child, you know, keep being you, keep loving, put down obviously the phones are tools.
You're in for it, dude.
I know.
You're in for it.
Well, he still doesn't watch TV. We read all books.
Cool.
I'm on my phone all the time as the artist guy, so he definitely has like 50 fake phones, and he's always texting people in Tokyo.
One. It's gonna happen, man. You're in for it.
I know.
But what you just shared, I was thinking like, again, I mean, I keep dipping back into my past, but I took all these I took my experience and to enrich her with the things that I didn't wish that happened to me or did happen to me. So now I've always had an immense amount of patience for her. Let her cry. Yeah. Let her feel. Do it. You know, I mean, if it gets unhealthy or if it's like for a reason, communication was always a big thing. Being patient, being present, and conversing, and just getting on that level of listening. So that stuff. So I think that may have helped. I'm gonna take a little sliver of credit of why she's so rad.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know. Anyway.
No, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll cut myself off at 2 more tops because this was powerful, and yeah, I'll save some for the next one. So these interviews are, for me, at their core, conversations with people I respect. In the spirit of that, is there anything you'd like to ask me? And don't need to, but sometimes it feels weird and imbalanced to just be grilling cats.
Well, I've noticed, or I've learned that you are proud father, which is really awesome to see. You know, how's being a father, right? Because he's
3.
He's 3.
Yeah,
so you're
3
3 years in. How is that dynamic change things for you personally? And and how's being a father? I mean, you radiate with joyous radiation of being a father, but I guess verbally or
it's funny because my dad. So I'm also a proud son, which I think is, in a weird way, even cooler to be a proud son, because I think that can be hard sometimes. I don't know. The father-child dynamic in this society seems somewhat broken. Like, I take Rock to a farm school in Malibu twice a week, little pod of people, and I'm the only dad. I mean, occasionally there'll be a dad who pops in, but it's like I'm the only dad. And, it's just kind of interesting how the mothers have been delegated, that they're the ones who take care of kids, and the dads are the hunters and the Wall Street wolves or whatever it may be. And I actually do most of the cooking, although Molly is a great cook. I do the laundry. Again, I'm not trying to blast her. She does all the things, but I love cooking. I love cleaning. I love doing laundry. I have a motherly nature. I'm very in touch with that side. But yeah, I guess in the vein of what Rock has brought through, the joy has been tremendous and beyond words, continues to be. But since you kind of already named that and felt that, I think what I'll say is more in the vein of that scary ancestor that came through, and the pushing, and the, speaking of zodiacs, I'm Sagittarius, Molly's a Leo, he's an Aries. So apparently those are the 3 fire signs. So but apparently 3 fire can make a harmony of fire, but it's very fiery in our house. And Aries are very stubborn, and he is very, and you saw how he was with you. He's like, I want to show him this. I want to show him this. He's very, sleep has been harder on Molly. So just as my dad says, children are cannibals, and they eat parts of you that maybe you no longer need, or even the parts that you do maybe need, but hopefully they're whittling you down to your essence. That's what I like to see it as. Like the Michelangelo statue, when he was asked how he made the David, he said that David was already in the block of marble, and all he had to do is remove everything that wasn't David. And I love that idea, and that's what rock is my Michelangelo.
Sure.
And I'm David, becoming David more and more. But yeah, playfulness. We make up songs constantly, joy, teasing. And lastly, I'll just say that he's helped me recover quickly the part of me that used to want to please everyone. I now have a clearer blade to say, nah, I can't do that. Or, I'm stronger in my discernment. I'm stronger in my choices, and I'm much more protective of my time. And where I used to have the luxury to go to a studio session for 12 hours and smoke, we'd be super productive, but smoke weed and chill and just create. Now it's like, all right, you have an hour and 15 minutes on Wednesday at 3:15 to 4:30, and I got to go down and write a song in that time. So I've become more of this like ninja, and also having to learn how to transition quickly from time management, but even more like I mentioned, I was in a mental hospital 10 years ago or so from a chemically induced psychosis. I used to have trouble going all the way creative, especially if there was alcohol and stuff, like, tapping into the unseen forces, channeling albums, prolific amounts of art, like reading the signs, My 77, seeing that shit everywhere. But then I didn't know how to come back. And what rock has taught me, because I've had a lot of depression and spent a lot of time in my bed because I felt like I can't be my creative beast anymore because it hurt me too much. But rock has showed me that, in fact, I can totally be that creative beast. But I'm learning how to, today we're going to make an entire song from scratch and shoot a music video and edit it. Tell people that, they're like, fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a full-blown art junkie, and I've been doing this a long time. When I go upstairs later, and this is a unique holiday for me, I have to be able to have this much time to do it.
Yeah, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, y'all. Yeah, for real. So yeah, I guess just learning how to go to that, what some people might call lightning in a bottle or a manic space, which is not, but then feel it, channel it, write it, sing it, be it, dance it, let it wiggle out. Take a breath, ground back, go be a dad, go change a diaper. And it's actually, although it's hard, is such a blessing. And that's why I like doing laundry and being a dad, because otherwise I would have spun out. So I feel like in some ways he's my rock. His name's Rock. But he's also, a balloon in his own right, and I'm his rock. So something like that. And now, final question. Our last question, from some of these were from my dad, and also the piece I read in the beginning, I initially wrote, and then my dad added his flavor. So this is a true collaboration. We collaborate all the time, but this last question is from this guy. What do you wish we'd asked you?
Man, that's
He's a pain in the ass, man.
yeah, that's well, in due part, why? Because why it's tough is because this was like very real. So I mean, if I was in another setting, it was very superficial.
Yeah.
I would have been like, man, let's talk about something real. Like why, what, like some darker side,
It's funny you say that. Maybe we need a light question. As I was like, what's your favorite coffee to drink on a Wednesday?
But it's tough in regards of that, like I think that I've been I mean, fuck, I'm not trying to slip out of the question because, but you guys came up with some really great questions. Perfect. In regard of a lot of truth.
Awesome.
So I would have wanted that, you know, ask me
man.
something about my dark side or something that I can
Yeah.
like be honest about, you know. So but I want to answer the question.
No,
though,
you did.
You know,
That's
like
it.
I don't
think
know.
that's a better-
I don't. Yeah, you know,
I
like
think
I'm
that's a good answer.
satisfied.
Awesome.
In fact, I feel alleviated by some weight in due part of this.
That's
You
amazing.
know, so if anything, this was like a therapy session.
That's the answer. That's a great answer.
Cool.
So I'm going to leave this beautiful flow with this quote. Since today is Halloween, we're about to create a song. I would like to close on a poetic note. Last night I finished reading a novel by Tom Robbins, Even Cowgirls Get the Blues. Some of y'all know this is one of my true heroes. Shout out to Mr. Robbins. These lines jumped out at me. Having a way with birds, Sissy knows that the spirit cannot soar with one wing. She has learned how a thing's opposite holds it together. In Sissy's dream is a man who does not deny himself, but who is himself to the full limit of himself as she has been. Mad love, y'all. Thank you for listening. To be continued forever in all the forms. Peace and love. Oh, how can people get in touch with you? Is there any last thing you'd like to add in a more reality-based thing of if people want to follow, reach out?
Yeah, just look out for this crazy-looking caveman mug. Just the music, and oh man, I don't even want to, but at Klever's World on Instagram.
Yep.
With a K.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'll be in your city, country,
Headphones.
somewhere. Yeah, somewhere. Speakers, stage, sometime soon.
And stay tuned for some music coming with us and Klever as well. Thank you for listening. Mad love. Every day is Halloween. Body is a costume. Talk to you soon.